You're not going to want to miss this list of mistakes that real estate agents make when selling tenant-occupied properties. I often start out my videos by saying we've been helping renters and landlords understand their rights before things go wrong. The problem is that most people find me after things have gone wrong. We specialize in selling renter-occupied properties, and we have a popular channel where we talk about landlord-tenant law, which you're on right now, and we hear from a lot of landlords and renters. So we're going to run through a quick list of 8 different things that we've found that real estate agents do wrong when selling renter-occupied properties. And remember, we can't give tax or legal advice, but for the most honest and up-to-date real estate advice, subscribe to this channel. So number 1 is the agent who's going to be the bully. They're going to show up unannounced at different times. They're going to threaten eviction, maybe threaten to call immigration, all in an attempt to make life difficult for the renter. Maybe they'll try to convince the landlord to turn off some utilities. This is illegal. It's considered harassment and could end up putting the landlord in severe trouble, including big financial penalties for the landlord. You do not want to hire an agent who is going to attempt to bully the renter to move out. Not only is it ethically and morally wrong, it could lead to big financial penalties as well. And number 2 is agents who don't understand that the rules have changed, they continue to change, and that there are local laws potentially as well. California has a statewide provision called the Tenant Protection Act, also known as AB 1482, that set certain just cause provisions into place for rental properties, and these laws must be followed at the statewide level. And furthermore, there are local regulations. Different areas have different procedures for terminating tenancy. You have to give a just cause reason. There's relocation assistance that's potentially owed, different amounts. The notice must be filed in some areas with the local housing department. Lots of different rules to follow. It's important that the agent you're working with understands the exact regulations that apply and can translate this to prospective buyers and other agents. Number 3 is the agent who didn't review the rental agreement. It's important that the agent understand exactly what's in there. There could be some gotchas that they need to know that could end up making it much more difficult to sell. Need to make sure the renter is month to month, or if they're on a lease that's still running, the new owner will need to know that because they have to honor that lease. So these are important things to look into, as well as to make sure the appropriate disclosures were given. For example, if it's missing an AB 1482 exemption disclosure, there's just certain steps you have to take before you can go ahead and sell that property that will help protect the landlord. And if there isn't a lease to review, there are certain steps we can take. And at the absolute minimum, we need to make sure that we understand what's going to go on a tenant estoppel. I'm going to tell you a quick story about a gentleman by the name of Sam. That's not his real name. That's to protect his identity. He found me after he found himself in a difficult situation. He hired a local real estate agent to help him sell his tenant-occupied property, and he needed to sell fast. He wanted to get his money out of the property. He did not have time to terminate the tenancy. That local agent charged him extra because having renters in the property makes it more difficult for him. He then proceeded to lock Sam into a contract that required the property to be delivered vacant. This was a huge mistake for Sam. If he wanted to get it vacant in the first place and didn't want his money quickly, he would have done that. Now he was stuck in the contract and the buyer had all the control. Make sure you don't hire an agent like this to sell your property. Number 5 is the agent who says, come and get me when the property's empty, or they rely on the landlord to handle the renter, to do all the notices of entry, to basically hold the hand of the renter before they're going to do anything. A true professional that understands how to sell a property with renters is going to take that over and make sure that everybody follows the law, from the landlord down to other agents that may be on the property. That's why the true professional has to be there. They can't rely on somebody else making sure things are done correctly. Number 6, a lot of agents are using the wrong paperwork or incorrect paperwork or drafting their own paperwork to give to renters, and this paperwork probably isn't valid. As California Association of Realtors member, we have access to up-to-date forms, but you have to know which form to use, and you have to know how to use that form in order to make sure it's valid. Number 7, another big complaint we hear is not giving proper notice for showings. A tenant is required to receive 24-hour notice before showings. Either needs to be in writing or it could be done orally if the proper paperwork is given. And dovetailing into this, I'd say that just allowing random showings is the wrong thing to do. For the rental properties that we list and sell, we don't just allow agents to show up at any point in time and march their buyers through. We have a very controlled system, a very controlled process for having prospective buyers go through the property that will help respect the renter's time and make life easier for the renter and ultimately get more money for the seller. And number 8, and this one's a pet peeve of mine, is an agent who convinces a seller to take a lowball offer from one of their investor clients because there's not going to be anybody else who's going to pay more on the market. Sellers leave money on the table when this happens. We have a system that we use when we sell a renter-occupied property to net the seller the most money and minimize inconvenience for all parties involved. This is a tried, tested, and true system that works. Do not accept as a seller an off-market offer from an investor just because you think it's your only option. Feel free to give us a call and we'll give you some other options. Let us know what mistakes you've seen out there, whether you're a renter or a landlord. What crazy things have gone down while the property was for sale. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter so we can keep you up to date on changes to landlord and renter regulations. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we can't wait to hear from you. And if you're not familiar with the important changes to the Tenant Protection Act, whether you're a renter or landlord, check out this next video right here.